Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Right off the top, I will tell you this is an excellent film. You should be really, really proud.
Thank you, I am.
Of how it had turned out. But how did this story find its way to you?
Honestly, it was through three of the producers. Colin Firth, Jed Doherty, and Nancy Bursky. And Nancy's the one that made the documentary, The Loving Story, that was the inspiration for this. They showed up with that documentary, and they showed it to me and said, do you want to make this into a narrative film? And by the time you get through that documentary, the choice was very easy, that absolutely I did.
Why was this a story that you think is important to tell right now?
Well, look, I think it's because we're having major conversations, major debates, major arguments right now about equality, racial equality, marriage equality, and I'm not the one to give you answers to those things, but I think what Richard and Mildred do is they show us how to have those conversations. They remind us that there are people at the center of those conversations, and that's what we need to be reminded of. You know, we know everybody's got their opinions and has their side of things, but just remember, just for a moment, that you're talking about people's lives.
Was the Loving family involved with any of the production?
Peggy Loving is the only surviving child out of the three that they had, and yes, she was the first person I met with in Virginia. But she's a lot like her father. She doesn't say a lot. So she, more than anything, just kind of gave us a blessing.
What were some of the things that surprised you about Richard and Mildred as you started to research, you know, their lives?
I think where they came from. You know, Central Point is a very specific place. Bowling Green was the county seat, so that's kind of the big town. They were really just from this community, but it was a community that had a legacy of racial mingling for decades between the black community, the white community, the Native American community. So it was a really specific place, and it's important because I think it was a place that allowed for Richard and Mildred to fall in love. And to fall in love not as an act of defiance or a symbol, but just truly fall in love.
What is the dialogue? I've kind of asked you that you've kind of answered this a little bit, but I want to expand on it. What's the dialogue that should happen after people see this film? Because I had conversations, like I told you, my mom and I saw it.
Yeah.
There were only three of us in the theater ahead of time, and we had a conversation afterwards about the love story angle of it all. But what do you think should the conversation be?
I think it's questions when people are walking out of the theater. Questions like, what did they do wrong? Why was that a problem? Why was anyone upset with that? You know, Bernie Cohen asked those questions in his oral arguments, which we put a few of over the end of, the final scenes of the film. What was the danger to the state of Virginia of interracial marriage? What was, the state of the danger to the people of Virginia of interracial marriage? Let's ask ourselves those questions. And when you ask yourself that question, don't think about yourself. Think about the people that you're talking about.
How proud are you of this cast?
I think these are some of the best actors in the world.